things. So can people attend the meeting virtually?
Yes.
Yes.
Public can attend. it if
We
you
can,
want.
but they can.
You're here.
Oh, 5:30. Okay, great. Get started. So first we can chat about Crow's Nest. Free Crow's Nest.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, I'm Richard Massey, and we live at 33 Crow's Nest. We've lived there since we built the house in 2014. We recently have had some problems getting home insurance. Come back with insurers have come back with very high valuations on property. It's difficult to get home insurance, so we managed to get a new carrier, and the house was inspected, and the underwriter requested several different things to be done, two of which need architectural review approval. One is a handrail. We have a conservatory at the house, and there's some stone steps
Oh, right.
that lead up to the conservatory. They requested that we install just one handrail on the cement steps.
And those would be the central steps in this picture?
That would be the central steps in that picture. So it would be one handrail to the side. And we've submitted a picture for what that handrail would look like.
And so this image is just to show the handrail,
Just to
the
show
stonework and everything
handrail,
is,
kind of, the stonework is
has
all-
nothing to do with it,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Here, the actual, we're looking at where it would go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so if
this-
you're facing a conservatory, it would go to the right.
And this is an iron, what is the
That's an
material? of
iron
this?
handrail that would be painted black.
It would go to the right, away from the Japanese, little tiny
Yeah,
Japanese
it would
maple
go
on the,
away.
right.
But you're saying there are two,
Just
one on each there?
No, they just
Oh.
requested one.
One,
Yeah, so they only requested one handrail.
and it's just to double check, it's the
This
left
central.
opposite, not on the side of the Japanese maple,
No,
but
it's on the
opposite.
other
Got it.
Opposite the Japanese,
Got
yeah.
it now. Mhm.
just the one.
Yeah.
And they only requested it for the cement stairs that lead up to the marble surround on the conservatory.
And it seems like a very sensible, straightforward,
Mhm, Design.
basic
Yeah.
design.
Yeah, we've looked at other handrails in the park. It's quite similar to other handrails.
And it needs to be dressy enough for this without being distracting. So I
Exactly,
think this-
exactly.
to my eye, this looks like a very sensible.
Yeah, the
solution.
conservatory itself is very elaborate, so we just want to
Right.
keep it very simple.
But dressy enough
Yeah.
to go with it.
To go with the
There's-
conservatory.
There's the iron work above the front door, right? So I think it complements that.
Oh,
nicely,
right.
too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what color above there's a little sort of little frieze right above the capitals on the conservatory. What color is that? Is that black? The
You have
fretwork?
to See a picture.
What I'm referring to is that little band.
Yeah, that's black.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So it will really look quite
It'll
coherent.
go there.
It'll be handsome.
Great. And I think the second part of this then would be talking about any other thoughts on the railing, Stephanie,
I
before we move
was-
on.
When I first saw it, I was kind of thinking I would have hoped to have a higher quality. Now, especially now it's in this really beautiful area, I was
Yeah.
just
Yeah, we've,
wondering something more
In
slightly.
terms of quality, we think we've gotten a high quality in terms of the sort of the wrought iron or steel that is being made of. And we opted for the more expensive railing,
Mhm.
so it is much more sturdy.
And I was just something that's more sensitive to the almost, well, it's that beautiful trellis design,
Mhm.
just anything that was sort of
Yeah,
more
we wanted to
sensitive
keep
to
it
that.
simple, rather than going with anything elaborate,
Right.
you know.
just to sort of do the job, get it done and
Mhm.
move on to the main event.
Yeah.
And what's the next one?
The garage doors.
It's the garage doors, yeah.
So these three.
Yeah,
On
those
towards, like,
three
the back
garage
of the
doors need
structure.
to be replaced.
Mhm.
So what we're suggesting is metal doors that are stamped. I think we have a picture in the package. So it has a wood appearance, and the doors are painted to look like wood. And I think there are two color chips in the that were included with the.
There's an image. Is
There's
that?
an
just
image
the-
of
Oh, I see, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And page before that.
Right.
So the idea is that we would try to match the color of the doors with the color of the eaves on the house.
So what we're looking at are actual little chips of veneer.
Yeah, these are chips of suggested colors.
So you're trying to, when you say painting it to look like wood, are you talking about approximating the color of what is in fact a wood veneer or?
What we're trying to do is they can try to match the color of the garage doors with the color of the eaves.
So you're painting the metal in a faux wood?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I can never resist that. I love metal painted faux wood. That I'm passionate about. I am. I really am.
As vices go, that's a good, that's a safe place. And so the window trim and everything that we're looking at here is white. The trim around it would remain white and then would,
Yeah, the trim around the windows would remain white.
okay. And also around the garage doors.
In the garage door, right.
There's quite a bit of white accents.
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
you look at
And the main
this
house.
As a
Mhm.
whole, yeah.
The other comment is the doors are not visible from the street, so they face the back of the house.
Mhm.
So when you're on Crow's Nest or Ant Hill Road, you actually don't see the doors.
So is that a brick addition to the house?
That was a schoolhouse that was added many, many years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was originally a Catholic girls' school that owned the house, and they installed a school attached to the house.
And is this the proposed hardware too?
The hardware is just was included in the picture. We have to select the hardware.
Because this is so, I mean, the relationship of this laboratory extension, I mean, it is
Yeah.
so act 50s. I mean, it has nothing to do with
Right.
Warren and Wetmore, whoever did
Yeah.
the house, nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet it's there and
That's right.
nobody has seen fit to remove it.
That's
And so
correct.
it's there, but it is very much of its own period.
Yeah.
So that's the only question I would have is, and even down to the faux bois, like, is this exactly what anyone would be doing in this very institutional building? To the extent that it's there
Yeah.
and it very much has its own personality. Look at these windows.
Mhm.
What would someone have been doing for the garage doors? And I might have not brought this up, except then I saw the hardware, which
Yeah.
is going into a direction that has nothing to do with Warren Wetmore or the 50s. It's
Yeah,
just like,
the hardware is totally optional, so we don't have to put any hardware on the door. That was just included with the picture,
mhm,
but the hardware is optional,
mhm.
so we would not have to do that.
So you could do something that maybe that combined the faux bois sort of look, but sort of made it feel like integral to this 50s.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a simple handle on the door.
Mhm.
Where-
Just very mechanical, like very, yeah, right.
Yeah.
form
so
follows
on the
function.
Center of the door, then you turn, and you agree.
That would make more sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a rolling door, so again, the hardware is just decorative and it does not need to be added.
Mhm.
And then on the chip page, you mentioned wood tones to be determined in the field. So are you between these two samples, Aspen and Encore, or?
I think we would like to match it closer to the color of the eaves on the house.
Do we have the?
Do we have the Eve
I
photo?
didn't send the color, to be honest, but it's kind of a brownish red color.
Okay. On the eaves of the main
The
house. you
main
mean?
house, right.
Okay. Is it?
I had received these, and is this applicable to what they're?
No, there was just, we were trying to look at examples of doors on houses, but we couldn't come up with anything that was quite similar.
I actually didn't notice any
Red, right?
red accents.
I mean, there's the brickwork, of course, and then. But it's also, I mean, in fairness, it's facing away from the road. It's, I mean, I guess I would come down on, if that's something that you feel strongly about, I wouldn't raise an objection from where I sit.
Yeah, yeah, it does not face the road. It's like an inner courtyard.
Mhm.
But you feel that it coheres, you feel.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, it's a nice looking door. It kind of works with the garage. And the addition of the schoolhouse.
Can I say something? I know what you're saying, that it theoretically could be clashing with the 50s appearance. The way I integrate it in my mind is that it's almost the same as what is there, but of a higher quality. So it's got, I feel it retains the same schoolhouse appearance.
So what we're seeing here, Stephanie, this is what they had
Right.
originally.
Yes.
And this actually is wood, or what is
It's
this?
steel with a wood, it's steel, but it's
Ah.
meant to look like wood.
So you're just actually duplicating.
Mhm.
Of course, it's steel faux bois into a kind of sort of cerused, kind of pallor,
Right.
not it's that warm wood tone that's jarring for me. This, to me, this sort of grisaille effect is less distracting for the form follows function aesthetic of the
Right.
building or the extension, I mean. But again, having said that, that's just.
Yeah.
I wouldn't push back. If you like these other tones, and it's facing away from the street and it's not a public statement, then.
Would we have to come back and suggest a tone, or my wife's an artist, so, I think when she actually looks at what we're gonna try to match, she'll probably have a say in it.
So it's not either or, it's kind of still to be determined?
No, I think she really felt that the colors that it looked like in those chips were close to what she wanted. And I think she would be trying to match it a little bit more to the house.
Typically, we approve a specific color, right? So I think,
I think that's fair.
Mhm.
So how would you like us to proceed? Or what would you ask of
I could
us?
submit a color of the eaves.
We could do something contingent, right?
Yeah,
We could pass
let's
it
do something.
contingent on it,
Yeah, I could give you the color of the eaves, and that's where we try to match it.
so.
sure.
I think that's what she's thinking, so.
And Rob, your door handle is also important, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we will
That's
see
strange.
Yeah,
a,
I'll send you a simple door. Yeah.
And that would be if you decide to use hardware, or did you decide?
I think we don't need to use the hardware. It'll just,
it'll be mechanized or,
no, it'll just be push pull.
oh, so you'll have hardware, but
Yeah.
like something
The
that
sort of
barely,
the accent hardware on the hinges.
it simply
will be
is
there.
a tool to open the door, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. So, any final questions?
Not for me.
No, I'm very happy.
Okay. So then contingent approval on the garage doors pending the color match of the eaves in the Aspen 138 Mocha District finished wood tone. Without hardware other than the push-pull
Right,
mechanism and the iron stair rail on the right side of the central stone steps.
Just for clarification, for the record, the garage doors are going to be composed of metal. Painted to have
Painted to have the-
faux wood appearance.
And just to be clear, that's also a replacement in kind or in like material, because the existing is metal, so that's.
Yeah.
So do I have, I approve, do I have a second?
Second,
Yeah.
aye.
All in favor?
Oh, there we go. The horse is out of the gate.
Great.
Okay, so we're set for the rail and the garage doors, and I'll get you the picture of the handle of the car.
Yeah,
Great.
just yeah, and the color of the
Yeah.
eaves. Mhm.
Right.
Great.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Take care.
It is Warren and Wetmore, right?
It is Warren. and
That's what I
Wetmore.
thought. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember
it
which
was
one.
the
it was.
architects that did the Grand Central
Right.
Station.
Mhm.
It's an extraordinary
Love the
house.
I mean,
It's such a gorgeous house.
yeah, I mean, we haven't changed anything really on the house. It's the way it is. All the rooms are the way they are.
It's
So,
cool.
Fabulous.
Little time capsule.
I know it
Thank
is.
you.
Thank
you
you
And
so
a half.
much. So Genesis is next.
They're not here.
Mhm.
Mrs. Garrity was told to come back at roughly 5:45. and She's not here at the moment. But the Haydos are here if you want to hear them.
Yeah, great.
Do we each have?
I think they brought some wood. I think they brought some.
Hello. No, nice you like, welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see
Well, good to see you. I didn't think I was going to have to see you again.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
I would love one.
But it's nice to see you in person.
Yes. Did we do it by Zoom the last time?
We did.
Right.
We have plenty, we got plenty of copies.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go on. So we are back because we have some changes.
Yeah.
Since we started this project about 3 years ago to find an architect, and we went through many different variations and through many different plans. And we finally found a plan that we liked, and we came to you and we, to get the approval, which you were very nice and gave it to us. Unfortunately, since the approval, my situation has changed quite a lot. I have multiple sclerosis and it's getting quite not so good. So as a consequence, I have to be on one level. And the reason we bought the house was to see the lake. And the reason we wanted to make the addition upstairs was to see the lake from my bedroom, because I might not be able to get out so much from the bedroom.
Right.
So since this happened, we cannot make the second story addition. And Ellen was kind enough to come up with an idea to make an L in the back. And I can see the lake and I can be on one floor. So this is what we decided. So instead of building on the garage, that second story, we're building it on top of my new addition. And then everything else, the materials we're using to clad the house will be the same. The roofing will stay the same. The stone will stay. We're changing only the look of the house. And we're squaring off the center, which was going to be squared off from the beginning. The house is like coming in, going out, and it's a very poor design. But the only thing we're doing is basically skylights are being taken out. Roof is going to be nice roof metal. And then the nice wood material in gray color that you saw it already. And then that second portion would be an L in the back. And we would like to have also in the front an overhang for the entrance because
That part was new, yeah. I hadn't
that's
seen
new.
that.
That is the only thing, well, the addition is new, but the
What-
overhang is.
And what was, do we have an image of what it was that had been approved as far as the front
I'm
door?
so sorry, I didn't bring it. It was I can have it on my phone.
The entire, everything was completely different from the original proposal. We were modifying the roof lines. It was the main body of the house had a second story on it with a flying roof line. The whole thing was so different.
Quite different,
It
right?
was quite different. So at that point, we didn't really pay much attention to the front door because the way the roof line was soaring up, it led you to the front door. The roof line, the new roof line. Now the roof line is changed, it is staying the same,
Mhm,
and the house is like a torpedo. And
mhm.
you enter along the side, you have to walk the whole length of the house to get to the front door. So since we're not changing the roof line at all, we figured it might be nice just to do an architectural element to kind of stop you.
But I'm
because-
not sure this is even remotely successful.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it's not.
All right.
And this comes from someone who really loved everything you did the
Right.
first iteration,
We did through-
and who really loves virtually everything that you've done for this very understandable reason. This
Yeah.
is one person speaking, other people may not feel that way. But I think it's abundantly clear the rationale for the changes. I think it was really resourcefully accomplished in terms of design, but we wouldn't be doing our job up here if we weren't blunt.
Right.
And I
Be
think
blunt,
that
it's
this,
okay.
I think that this really needs further working out.
Okay.
It needs to understand what it's doing and how it's doing it.
Well, I'm looking for a way to, because you're walking along the edge of this really, really long
Mhm.
structure. That really has no, it's very simplistic. It doesn't really,
Mhm.
it's not very inviting. The water is in front of you, so you do get the view of the lake, but there's nothing to make you turn to where the front door
You're
is. And
kind
you
of
can
walking-
kind of see that in the photograph. Let's go to this, here, let me come to the right page. Yeah, you could see on on page 5. You know, right,
5 of 8.
yeah, so you can see where those steps are. That's the only indication that that's the
Mhm.
front door. So we were looking for a device that can kind of frame the view and then make you kind of like to turn to find the front door without necessarily adding extra space to the house.
And you feel that you need a roof over, that you couldn't accomplish that simply with some form of plinth and steps and
Well, I guess
pivot.
what I was trying to do was to kind of emulate kind of that, we had that soaring roof line feature as the original essence of the, the
Mm.
original proposal. And maybe I'm just have that idea stuck in my head and I'm trying to force it to this new design. I don't know, but we've sort of replicated it with the addition. And I just thought it would be a nice way to kind of tie more of a modern statement with kind of an 80s hip roof. Since we're kind of forced to live with the original roof line now, so. Because what was so successful about the previous submission was that because we were doing a second story, we got rid of the kind of the ugly 80s hip roof.
What
Yeah.
if you brought the same detail that you, by the way, have over here? I can see it from this side. It shunts up.
Mhm.
What if you brought that really in above the door and fenestrated it higher and made it integral to architectural, something that is, as opposed to, this seems tacked on to me.
Mhm.
But if you were integral to, I know it would be set back because the hip roof
What
comes.
if it had
forward
space? What if it was an enclosed space and the door faced you?
This way.
Yeah. Along the edge, because see, you're kind of traversing this long side.
Mhm.
Not that we need any more interior space necessarily, but
Mhm.
just, I don't know.
Well,
And
frankly.
I don't want to get hung up on that because honestly, right now, this proposal is showing it over the setback lines.
Right.
So John and I were talking about that, we're gonna kind of take it off of that for the next time we come in, and do it maybe in two separate applications. Because the goal is to get the structure built as quickly as possible. Because
Right.
they're not living in any way, shape or form that's accommodating to them right now. And the front entrance expression is something that we have more time that we can, we can analyze that.
Mhm. I mean, I guess I don't know why you wouldn't just let find a way to make this more eventful and more of a view catch in itself and a pivot point
Mhm.
that is meaningful and has an effect and draws you in without this
structure.
doodad and this
Okay.
gesture that feel kind of imprecise and not really well thought out. I mean, whereas I feel like if you are leaving the roof line, then leaving the roof line is leaving the roof line, and just keep, a better iteration of this, but find a way to I don't know, to complicate you call it a torpedo shot, but to complicate that, or there are many, a million other ways of solving this.
Mhm.
But I don't know, that's just me. I've said enough.
Fine,
It
that's
was
fine.
the one thing that really stood out to me.
Honestly, there's a million ways to do things like this, and our goal really is for the back, was to concentrate on the back. And, in all fairness, I'm not married to it either. I don't think none of us are married to it, so.
We're not at
Yeah.
the end either, but
Yeah.
we didn't have many options right now. And I was really concentrating on the back portion, which is what I wanted to do.
And by the way, that it brings back so much of what I think all of us, I'm the only one from that iteration of the board, loved about what you did. It's clear, and it's all great. Choices feel well thought through.
That's
Right,
really the important part. So if we can leave alone the front, then we'll come back for the front, since that's going to be a sort of something else. And if you don't mind, I would really appreciate if we can have the back.
Theoretically, you're trying to get underway with the,
Yeah, because we have to, we're coming to you guys. I need to do construction documents. We would like to get foundations in before we lose our weather this season. So we're kind of a bit under the gun. And, the whole situation has been unfortunate because we all fell in love with the original design.
I know that
We did the full set of
because it
documents, as
I know.
John knows,
It was
as
my
pages
dream.
and pages long
and it was nothing that could be solved with just an elevator, a well-placed.
No, because the way that it's a sausage,
Yeah.
it didn't have a place to go all the way up and down. So it
right,
had to be all the way in the back of the house. My apartment would have been in the front. I would have had to go 150 feet.
Yes, that's no
Go in
good.
the elevator and then 150 feet to the kitchen.
Right.
I was- And.
Yeah, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
never have
You'd
gotten.
really appreciate that glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we thought about it and then my children said, Mom, you can't, you have to be on the ground floor. You cannot do this. And it's true, I keep on falling. I hold on to walls. I can't.
The previous rendition was really the house that we wanted ideally, when we first bought the house, and that was the house that we imagined would bring out the best. Since then, of course, as my wife has explained, she's fallen a few times, which taken a little bit of a severe bearing, and so we decided as a family that we have to find a solution to the house, for the house that really is practical for her today, not the ideal house that we had in mind before.
But this new house also has so much of what was beautiful about
Oh,
that,
no,
which
no, I
is
understand,
really,
yes.
and that's,
No, I
The
understand.
shame of it is
And
that
we
you
will
can't
have
see
the
when
view
you
of the
first
lake.
drive up.
I know,
You have to
and that's
be in the
Which is what
house
I
to
want.
see it.
and we understood from the first go around that was paramount.
That was the whole thing. It was, it
It's a
was such
beautiful piece of property.
Oh, it was gorgeous. the view, the way that it was designed was going to be my dream, but.
Well, this is a really good plan B.
Well, Ellen came up with the idea because we didn't think of how we can do it. So for a while, we thought we could, but then it would have been not possible. So this is the best we can do with the situation that we have.
And it's
My-
such a site because it's so long in the row and the buildable area is really compressed.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that really
There are
except for,
constraints.
yeah, except for that front addition. Without having long travel distances and not require like going in front of the ZBA was actually.
My colleagues. One thought I had is just do it, take the thing and lay it on its side, these pillars. Like, why don't you try carving out a framing of the plinth, right, with a wall that wraps around, sort of, that serves as a endpoint, and then you shunt you left.
Right.
Just, maybe to go up as high as, so this, you go up, what, about 36 inches is the top, the second,
Yes, about the 42, I think, yes.
so 42, and then another 36 or whatever.
This is a
So you can
garden
even sit
wall.
on, right?
As a garden wall.
Right, just to kind of
Mhm.
masking
Mhm.
and shunting you. I mean, that's just one thought.
To have more of a stone feature in the front. is
Well,
that what
because
you're
there's so
thinking?
much stone here
Yeah.
and just take that amount of stone, which right now is, I don't, but just to kind of bring that masking around here so you don't feel like you're just, in fact, you'd feel even less as if you're going to torpedo right past it.
Mhm. Yeah, we're just trying to make it feel like you arrived, that you know where the front door is.
Mhm.
Because it is so far down from your sight line when you get out of the driveway and it's literally around the corner, so you can't see the front door at all when you're walking up to the house.
To give you a little bit of a joke, all of the delivery people, when we moved here, didn't bring it to the front door. They did not know where the front door was.
Oh.
So we had to put signs on the garage and on the back door, going into the garage saying, please go to front door. You have to follow the house to find it.
Yeah.
Because they were
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
and leaving things just anywhere because they didn't know where the front door was. You cannot see it. It's hidden and the house is so long, you don't know where it is.
What do you think, Stephanie?
Well, I really had a big problem with this lid. I wanted to cry when I saw it. I felt it had something very aggressive to it. And I also, from a maintenance point of view, someone who cleans gutters and looks at the structure, this is such a trap for leaves and water.
Indeed.
Yes, I
Yes.
think
That
it's
is-
such a
that's
problem.
correct.
That is correct.
It's like if
I agree.
I've been on these ladders cleaning shutters and drains and things, and every time there is a thing like that, and there's snow accumulation and ice and expansion, I think the
Yes.
first
Yeah.
leak you're gonna have is right there. And
Yeah, actually, my son said the same thing.
Well,
I
it was a
think-
flat, I mean, if you look at the section too, that there's an actual area that's a flat that things could accumulate and collect and move off, but.
Right.
And we are doing a gutter list, the closed gutter system on the house, so, but again, it was really. It's a first blush
Mhm.
from my point of view as well. It was more of a placeholder that this is what we want to do something in the front, we're not sure what. But the real goal at this point is really for the rear.
So Steve, if we could do what we've done in some other cases, which is to approve the applications minus X detail or that TK, or how would Molly word
It's a little
that?
challenging because you have to be able to have the building department enforce whatever you approve.
Well, I could
If I-
easily
if
do
I-
another set of documents
If
omitting
I,
that.
if I can, I guess I have two issues. The first one is, do we know what the setback is from the structure to the lake? I looked at the table that you submitted, you put distance to lake 277 feet. And I've noticed that the lake frontage setback line kind of ends on the left-hand side of the page. I'll show it to you quickly if you like. There's a 100-foot setback required to the lake, and you see that the line ends here.
Right there, correct.
And unfortunately, I believe the back of it,
277.
okay, to the existing, I guess, to the existing front of the, yeah, okay. But what is the distance between here and the lake?
There is no lake there. The lake is not there.
The lake is not there. Okay, I'm just looking at this. This is a raised part.
I
That's
think
what I'm
the
looking at.
lake is
Okay.
just
Yeah.
this little,
The lake is just this little.
that
part
tiny
here.
piece there.
This is in it.
Well,
If you look
I've-
at the, in situ. So this is the property. So the only lake frontage is that little piece there.
Right.
Okay,
And this is the next property line.
all right, I would just need some clarification. What this dimension here, this is still the property?
That is the
That is the
property,
property
that's a
line.
side yard, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it is.
And that one is
I want to let
50.
everybody know what,
51.8. Is that what I said?
yeah, it looks like 51 and change.
Yeah,
I thought the lake came back further.
no,
here.
it doesn't. If you see it
Okay.
on in the big site plan, that contiguous.
All right, we can,
This is code people, this is another
another
property.
property, yes.
Another lake is short.
Okay, all right, well, that answers one question. We'll have to get some clarification.
Actually, here, from the survey, this says it's the property.
Yes, I know what that is. Okay, all right, so the lake doesn't go that
Right.
far in.
Correct.
I thought. Maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, that was just one number I was concerned about. the other thing-
Neighbor goes in more.
Okay, maybe it's his property that came from the alcove.
Yes, yeah.
I guess two things. I pushed to get this on the agenda so you can get some more comments. Do that. But also, we haven't notified the neighbors.
I see. So it's
And the
all
plan- and the
premature.
plans-
Right,
The
right.
plans really should be on file for 10 days before we,
Got it.
make any
Mhm.
decision.
Well, then we have,
So I
we
think
can
we-
use
we
that
could-
time to refine.
Yeah, I can
this
amend the drawing and take that whole front thing off.
And maybe give an option or two of how to resolve the things so we
Or-
can approve something.
Well,
that's-
actually, if it's gonna, I think it's probably whatever we do there because it's so tight with the setback lines and maybe, and this is another question I have. I'm not really sure where the front of the property is. Because the street, the East Lake Road is, this is a question that I had for John and I thought we would flesh it out tonight. Okay, so this, if you look at my proposed site plan, this is East Lake Road right here, okay? So this boundary here is actually a right of way that
Right.
it serves their property and the next door neighbors back in
Sure.
here. So I was thinking that the front of the house is so that this is the front yard and that would be the 75 feet setback. But really the street frontage is really to the side of the house.
Mhm.
So if this is the front yard,
Mhm.
then I would gain another 25 feet of usable setback
Mhm.
to where that front door is, which helps me. And we were wondering if we'd have to go in front of, the way I have it right now, we'd have to go in front of ZBA
Right. But
as
you're saying
well.
you could reconfigure it in a very different way, placing the front door elsewhere or no?
Well, no, I'm just saying that we would have more flexibility if we had another 25 feet to maneuver.
What you do?
Right, if we make this the front yard,
Mhm.
the East Lake Road, East Lake.
Sorry, and what
Side.
would you do with the extra slack?
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, to
I'm
be
not sure.
continued.
I'm not sure, but
Right.
it just, it gives you an extra
Sure.
25 feet
To play with.
to play with, because right now, the way it is, to do anything that's meaningful, even if it's just a terrace,
Right.
puts us over the setback line.
But you're well within that, right, John? I mean, it's just.
The front yard is typically the direction of either the front door or the garages face.
Oh,
I
okay.
understand the layout here is a little challenging, but many homes here, some of them have more front yardage that you can't even get to the house to, but the driveway is on a side road,
Mhm.
So I think you've configured it correctly. The front
Okay.
yard is where the door is and where the garage doors face. For all practical purposes, that's the front.
So to answer your question.
Because honestly, you can't get to the house from East Lake Road. That's another thing.
Right.
Right.
So, then what I would like to do, if it's okay with you all, is that I'd like to remove any structure proposal from the front of the house. Because it's gonna require zoning board of appeal approval as well. So, we can have all the time in the world to study that, go back and forth as many times as we want to.
And make that a separate project.
Make it a separate
Okay,
project.
right.
Right. I think that would be best for everybody so that we can get,
But also find a resolution as it stands that would be acceptable were you not to come back with that extra project. So if
we
you can just-
probably just fix the existing steps
Great.
and call it out.
And obviously the door and everything
Right, replace the front door and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, which was all part of the
to
original
cohere with the
application.
new, right?
Right, so I can do that quickly.
But just to represent that and then.
Right. And
And if
then
you
we'll-
also do, stone wall, stairs, and piers, they can be within 2 feet of the property line. So if you're doing something in stone. I think you have latitude.
Oh, okay. that's-
Especially you have a structure out into the setback area.
And all
Right.
of these materials are what we'll have to
John,
use.
would it be possible to look in the original property development file when this house was built and they designated which is the front yard, which is the rear yard, which is the side yards?
I'll take a look.
Because that might be written in stone until they make an application to change it.
I'll take a look. I
Okay.
don't know if it was designated or not, because as the house sits, it complies with zoning.
Right.
So
Well, we wouldn't want to do anything right now that's gonna slow up the approval.
Right,
rate
sure.
of the rear.
Sure.
Any more good ideas as to how we can sort of reconfigure this front entrance?
Well, it sounds like less is more. At least get this done. And then come back and treat it as a separate, so we don't slow down.
A separate
The
thing,
important thing is to get all that
Please,
done.
please.
Mhm.
And it will look perfectly handsome with the less is more model if you don't come up with.
The house is going to look much better with the wood and with a nice roof. And we can do some landscaping, so it's going to be.
I have no doubt.
But I need to have my space and look at the lake. It's really important to me.
I feel it. I feel it.
And it's such a challenging house because of the layout, being so long and everything. And we've gone through so many design iterations to try to come up with something that really
And we finally
works.
came up with the perfect
look,
look.
so.
And this is perfect too. This is perfect too.
So this plan stands on its own, all of the materials that were approved in the prior, should be referenced on here if they're
Yes.
not already.
Correct.
And Mr. DeHadu, we had a brief discussion regarding the practicality of designing the garage doors so they were flush with that plane.
Yes, the garage will be flush.
Well,
You don't.
Now's the time to, if we're gonna discuss it, let's discuss it now, but if you found a way to do it,
It's going to just be a flush. It might have a little bit of something in between the doors, like a
Okay.
little.
Seam or
Like
buffer.
that, the
Okay.
people who do the garage will have to tell me. It might have to have a small space in between, but when you look at it, it's going to look all the same.
Okay.
Because all of the wood is going to be in the same direction. So unless you really come up to it, you're not going to be able to see that it's
Sounds very elegant. It'd be a great solution.
I just got one question. Was this part of the previously approved design where that also appears?
Well,
to be
that,
going up
that
and it's
element of
going
the
up?
shunting up, like the sort of ski jump thing, was a part, but originally that faced the lake and had windows, as I recall, right? So it was a big part of the design. And we went back and forth quite a bit, as you can imagine. It was, some of the viewpoints needed to be sort of think that through and talk it through and be persuaded. In the end, everyone felt that it was the right choice for the use of the house and to bring the outdoors in, the lake in particular. And I grew to really love it, actually, but I don't know if everyone loved it as much as I did. But
That was a beautiful design.
This is a one-story house with a big hat sitting on top of it. So the programming is requiring a two-story volume. So I didn't want to have a two-story volume with another big hat on it.
Right.
So the idea is was to flatten the pitches so that the new ridge line is very close to the ridge line of the main house. But I still felt from an architectural point of view that I needed to respect that big angle of a roof pitch in some way to tie it back to the existing house without just throwing another big hat on top of a two-story volume. Because if I did that, I felt that the addition would just overwhelm the house. So that's why I kept that flying roof line, just so that you can kind of, respecting the fact that the rest of the house has a big, huge, tall rafters. So at least in the addition, even though the roof pitch is much shallower, at one point, there's still that sense of a long rafter. That's what the thoughts.
What about drainage?
No, because it's not coming in and butting into it, because if you look at the roof, I don't know where it is, but there's actually, there's valleys. There definitely is a valley there.
Page 8 of one of the
Yeah.
plans shows.
Well, if you can see, there's actually a valley. So you'll have just two valleys. It's just like any other valley of a roof.
Even page 7 of 8 shows how the roof,
Where it meets the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a pit comes in, and this is a valley, and there'll be gutters there and meters.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's not hitting like this.
Mhm.
There's a valley that comes in which will direct the water.
And we started out with a house that was profoundly 80s, and then like it is what it is. And so this just seems to, I don't know, take something that is bold but sometimes problematic, and then solve a lot of those problems while still being, decidedly contemporary, but in a cleaned up way that feels fresher for now. I think that's, if I can put into words why it was that we thought the original proposal worked, that would be it. And I think this sort of adheres to the same principles, solving a slightly additional set of problems.
So this faces, East Lake is here, right? So this kind of faces the back
East-
part of the,
Oh, East Lake Road, yeah.
East Lake Road is here. So this faces the back part of the property. This is where you enter.
Yeah,
In the front.
there's a right of way on the driveway that belongs to the Hellmans and
Yes.
the original Lorillard house.
Yeah, the original house too, the materials really, when that house was constructed, it was constructed on a shoestring budget, and the original materials are just awful, and the house is falling apart because they were not good materials. And they didn't have proper foundation, and we're adding foundation.
You're near a
under-
body of water. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's
a lot of weather and.
so just the fact that we're putting in real materials, proper materials is gonna be such a huge improvement to a structure that is literally falling apart because the materials were so inexpensive. So.
Yeah, these were a bad time.
Really a bad time.
But when we bought the house, we were rummaging, I was rummaging through the garage, and we found maybe at least 6 or 7 or possibly even 8 different renditions that the sellers had gone through. And so we all looked at it with tremendous interest and curiosity. And we can clearly state categorically that they chose the worst rendition of all.
There were some that were very nice and logical, and they actually took the one that looks absolutely the worst. And if you look at it from the sky, it looks like the Starship Enterprise.
I know, I did.
Star Trek fan.
Absolutely.
I did that, and I
It is
thought
one
that,
of the
yeah.
most beautiful designs I've ever
It's
seen.
so
And
peculiar.
the master bedroom is next to the garage. But next to the garage, facing nothing. And the only place that you have the view from the whole house is the living room.
That's it.
Everything else, you have no view whatsoever.
Oh,
So you have this magnificent lake and this beautiful place, and
It wasn't
you don't
optimized.
see anything. So I hate to tell you, but looking out at nothing from my bedroom is not very pleasurable.
So John, how would we go about, assuming this is the right choice for everyone here, expediting the proposal? And staying within the rules and in terms of notice and so forth.
Well, I mean, you're talking a meeting in 2 weeks from now, right?
No, it's, the meetings are the first and third Mondays of each month, and so the next meeting would be June 5th, which would be 3 weeks from tonight.
The approval we had before doesn't work for this time.
Well, it's a different application, it's a different set of plans that they do.
I see,
So,
I see.
honestly, by the time the plans get updated, by the time we notify the neighbors,
I mean, this will
It'll
be
be at the
Yeah, I
next
mean,
meeting.
a useful juncture for.
Yes.
I think it's
Okay, so we'll see you in-
I know they're anxious, but there's still work that has to be
Right.
done. There's still some construction documents to get done. I feel comfortable with the other starts.
And there's probably a lot of overlap between the two designs in
There
terms of
is.
materials and stuff where you can still place things on order, knowing what you know without saying too much.
I think we're okay for the, I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, but
It's okay.
I don't know about the supply chain issues right now. It's a little bit less
you still have a
bad.
lot of work to do.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so more to come on June 5th then?
Will be a public hearing. Essentially, the neighbors will be notified.
yeah, the neighbors will be notified as soon as I get the updated plan.
They
So
gotta notify the neighbors will know what's proposed.
And the deadline date for the June 5th meeting is actually May 26th. So you have as much as 2 weeks to get formal plans back to us
Okay.
and go from there.
So the neighbors would be certainly the Hellmans on one side, and then on the other side, it's the vacant property.
It's actually everybody within, I think, 300 feet. So it's probably a little bit wider than.
I
what-
see.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
then we will see you on June 5th,
I'm sorry,
We'll see you June
June
5th.
5th.
That was-
I guess so.
And-
So then we will have two different approvals, one for this one and then one for the front door.
Right, well, if,
We'll come back
Might
to
be-
that.
We'll
We're
come
gonna
back,
circle
yeah.
I guess that's an open question, because maybe it'll all be the same, or
I probably will.
Yeah.
Let's,
Yeah.
I want to put our.
at the very least, by June 5th, we'll be in a position to vote and get moving
Right.
forward on this
And we
all
won't
important.
confuse the matter by having
Yeah.
the connotation on it all, just show you where the movement is gonna be.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I would rather just have two separate times
Okay.
that we meet.
Right.
Because I really would like to start on the addition. as soon as
Understandably, yeah,
possible. And then we have to do the foundation to square off, and
right.
that has to start hopefully this summer or before winter.
I guess what my wife is saying is that we're enjoying this process so much that we like to come back more.
Oh,
We can accommodate you.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All the water you can drink and.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
good place.
let's try and possibly compress it,
Mhm.
but because you already have all the materials, so we maybe don't need to review samples anymore.
right.
Or you have them ready, so we could really have all the ducks in a row and do it extra
Well, the
quick for you.
samples, We had them approved last time. Did we
Yes, we
actually
did.
have
Yes,
those samples you dropped off?
Yeah,
You did?
exactly. Yes.
John
The-
had them and
John
they
has
saw the
them.
samples, yes.
Yes.
And I,
I'll take a
So-
look.
So
I'll
we
take a
can
look.
save time in the
Right.
process, so you don't have to
Yes.
come back
Yes.
again,
It's,
just get it all done in
Yes.
one
That
time.
was submitted already.
Nothing
Deja
has
vu.
changed from that.
At the very least, a
Okay.
sample book or something, if we have it on file.
I will let you know.
Mhm.
It's going to be very simple, a dark metal roof, dark gray wood.
We
I
love,
mean, very
it
simple.
was a big upgrade. It will be a
It's
big
going to look
upgrade.
so much better than the
Siberian
stucco.
wood.
Siberian.
Siberia.
Not just any wood.
It's
Siberian wood.
beautiful
Yeah, it's-
Siberian wood.
Mm.
It's so much better than the stucco that's peeling off right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay.
Thank you so
Onward
much.
and upward.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
take care.
Thanks for
Have a
coming
good
by.
night.
We continue that.
So we skipped around a little. Should we go back to Genesis?
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Hi.
You're welcome.
How are you?
You're welcome.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, yes. I have some actual harvest for my own garden that always not enough. You know, I haven't met you yet.
Oh, yes, I'm Desiree Hickey. How are you?
I'm
the. Sorry, say that again?
And I'm
Yes.
Christopher is in New York at his husband's gallery. I think they have a show, not a
Right,
crisis, a
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It's an
okay.
opportunity.
I thought he fly back with her mother to London.
I wondered the same, but then I remembered it was just the gallery.
Yeah, the gallery.
Oh, did you meet Mother Gal?
Yeah, yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
she lovely?
Yeah, wow. Vivian. That's my impression, right? What do you think? Vivian Westwood. You ever met her?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vivian West.
yeah.
He's John.
Well, great. So we can pick up then where we left off,
Yeah.
right? Front patio, the entryway, I think, and then obviously the fourth floor infill. So do you want to kind of take us through step by step, what's,
I think since we spoke last time, we did send the email to John about not changing the tile. Will remain the same. Just
Terrifying.
replace whatever
Mhm.
the broken ones for both that and the balcony part basically is going to remain exactly the same. We have reinforced it, of course, because structurally. So that's been communicated and since we spoke last time. So what's left with is we've been waiting for all this day is just the engineering firm to come up with the infill basically on the top floor. So I took your idea that a sphere that's beautiful and the wrought iron. So I find this, this is actually a French wrought iron antique fence. So I think we can repurpose it and make it to be the infill.
Oh, you mean you actually found
I have it now.
wrought iron?
Yeah. Yeah. See, you have this little spear on top, but
Yeah.
it's not sharp and and that same age.
You have
almost
enough
age.
for each of
Yes.
the interim between the
Yes,
crenellation?
I went around to search for it and finally I
Where'd you
find the
find her?
surface.
Where'd you find it?
A friend and also owns an antique place so that, when you gave me the idea, I was like, okay, let me look around. So, yeah.
You just chop it up into like
Make it
four
shorter.
four
Yeah,
pieces?
yeah, 4 pieces. I mean, basically 4-inch in between.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be 3-inch from the inside.
Mhm.
So that whole thing, the stone is around close to 12, right?
Mhm.
So we're more close to inside from
So
outside.
you have like 8 and 3, is that right? Or
approximately.
9 and 3 or whatever?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so.
So you still
that's-
get the real definition of the crenellations. These don't dominate. these are
Exactly.
set back.
You don't see the stone from outside mostly, but we meet the,
And the top of the medallion or the
It's the same,
arrow
yeah.
is at the very, very top, right?
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
doesn't-
yeah, I mean, it doesn't go above it. It's just the same level as a stone, basically, yeah.
I think that looks great. Great detail.
I
Yeah.
say that is very tuxedo park.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When this park was built, people used antique inputs everywhere.
Look, in
And
the door that was stolen.
the missing door. Thank you for now. Suddenly my blood pressure.
When was that? Your door got.
Every time that triggers me that door, but
The 18th century. Or
Right, yeah.
it was 19.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, but I like the fact that it's a tuxedo park habit.
Yeah.
To take
I
lovely
agree.
quality inputs and integrate them.
I
So
agree with you on
like
that, yeah. Mhm.
Really
Yeah,
wonderful.
I love
But you
that.
gave me the good idea.
Well, and you improved it.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if we are done with this, then we can start to start the work. I think this is what was last week, yeah.
I have one question. Did you say you actually repairing, sorry, Molly, can you point that with your finger on that?
Yeah.
That, are you replacing that or repairing it?
Repairing.
Repairing,
We're not gonna
okay.
change any of the, of these details.
Mhm.
So what we do is that, of course, we're gonna take this out, and then what underneath is we find, there's some rotten wood
Yeah.
underneath to support this. So we're gonna take those wood out, the replace with the wood, and then put all this back. And this, of course, some of them is rotten, so we need to reinforce it with the modern material, but it's still the same thing, you know
It's
how,
exciting.
yeah, for the
I
wood.
love that. I love that
I know,
detail
it's so
so much.
gorgeous.
Got idea from the people that are doing the, renovating the chateaus in France.
Oh, good.
So the shows and talking about how you maintain those good old houses and
They're
then
the
still maintain.
best to learn from.
Yeah.
Because they
So-
go to prison if they go and get it wrong.
I know. So we
We thought the
you-
PPR was bad.
Yeah. Well, so this is gonna remain exactly the same. This is gonna take out and we repaired it, and it's gonna come a little lower, of course, by the time we repair the wood, what do you have this here? Let me see. Underneath of that, those wood, some of them are rotten, so we
Yeah,
need to
we
take it
saw
out structurally. Yeah, you saw that, yeah. And then once we fix that, then this does not require any more elevation, so it just stay on the wood. Then we are at that 36 inches and everything, so code and everything complied.
So beautiful.
And now this front patio says tile to replace with 24 by 24 tile.
Exactly the same pile. I already find someone.
Mhm.
They have the tile, so that we just replace those broken ones.
Mhm.
Because if we're gonna repair, we're not
So
gonna.
nice.
Yeah, that is so
And I
great.
still need to talk to you about painting it every year, so the leaking is no longer a problem.
I need to talk to you more about that, Lee.
Yeah.
I found someone who's got a better solution.
Okay.
Putting a
Yeah.
fiberglass under, but that's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing.
So, but then once we did the repairs for the leaking, the top will look exactly the same, like all these details. Well, must be another painting at the beginning, sorry, all you guys see that, the entrance, the
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah,
understood.
yeah.
And you sourced something almost identical
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
What
I
you
can
have
send you the picture before we actually do that, but it's terracotta and then they have the
Some-
same color. Send some
Yeah.
picture, but looks very similar.
Are they antique or just they reproduced to look antique?
I think they reproduce this
Really?
one. Yeah, they would a piece cost you like $8-10 for this little thing. I guess it's reproduced. I don't think it's but luckily it's repair. So I only need to do a few, not all,
Yeah, yeah.
not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found a stack at your house too, right?
They were the wrong size,
Oh.
but they fit with mine, but I would have given them to you, but they're quite a bit bigger than your one.
Is it thicker or much?
Really thick.
Okay, that might be a problem because if it's a size, we can cut it. But if
No,
it's too
they're
thick, then it'd be
huge.
problematic.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I do find someone who actually has the supply.
And did we talk about the drainage here coming off the second floor balcony?
There is a drain here, so you just go connect this back, and then the original structure, they already, the way they build it is like there's a trench. Okay, the trench connected to this, and this gonna maintained. The only thing is the beams underneath. We
Mm.
need to make sure they are like safe. So once we replace that, the drains, right now in all this corner, and this edge, there's a drain goes down, and then it connected to this pipe coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's that gorgeous copper one on
I
the
know.
side
Yeah.
here,
It's gonna
right?
remain there, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna replace that.
Okay, great. So are you set?
I'm very
to-
happy.
Yeah,
And
great.
just one question, this is more of an update rather than something you came forward to discuss tonight, but what is the status on the P
I
stone
was
gravel?
about to tell you all that, once we get this out of the
Oh, okay.
business out of the
I have
way.
nothing else
Yeah.
to ask about.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
So these plans then, John, are dated as of May 10th, 23. and A2. And it would be the front patio to replace with like terracotta tile. The fourth floor terrace to have the proposed antique iron infill detail. And then the front entrance, second floor terrace, refurbishment of the railing detail.
But replace the broken tiles.
Replace the
not
broken
the whole
tiles.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Totally,
Aye.
yes.
yes.
Good, thank you.
Great.
First approval. Okay, now once you have that, let me give you some update.
Thank you.
I had a surveyor come over, more than surveyor. I mean, surveyor cost me half of the money than these people doing the
Oh.
landscape drawing.
I've been there.
Yeah, I was like telling them, I said, I'm a banker, right? So I finance this all day long. I know exactly the house surveyor charge. I said, why are you charging me this much? He said, well, we have to give you all the detail, whatever. So they were here, I think 3-4 weeks ago. They did measure everything. And then so when they are ready to give me that thing and I'm coming back, you will see every little details about the landscape and all
Okay,
that.
I see,
Great.
as a separate application. Got it.
Exactly, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, and then on that also, there will be the enclosure of those air conditioning units.
Mhm. Oh, great.
So the idea of that is basically if you see the house, which is like a Tudor on the side. So they did one air conditioning before, not me, okay, when they built a house, they were heating. So they built a sort of a little case and then hang it on the back. So we're gonna use the same idea, basically, the
Timbering, as Christopher and you were saying, or what would the materials be?
the material is timber.
Yeah.
It's basically used when you see that, and the wood is matched
The Tudor timbering.
the Tudor, yeah.
Similar.
But it's gonna enclose. Of course, top is open, but the idea is encloses, so you see that as part of like the original
Nice.
structure doing that, yeah. So that's that part, and once I got that joint back, I should be able to come back again. And now I did send Stephanie this. Okay, so this is the color.
So
I don't know.
Christopher said.
He
I
doesn't
said
like
the
it, I
wrong
know.
thing. No, I said that I liked it, but
Yeah.
Christopher said it
So
should be darker. So I said
It's
we
a
should.
great step in the right direction.
Mhm.
I think if you were to go, if this were to be the field and you like 2/3 of it and you added then 1/6 and 1/6 of dark
Oh,
gray
okay.
and maybe even a sort of a rust color, so that it's still, the net
Yeah.
effect is a pale grayish, but just it's complicated a little
But
bit.
you always have good ideas. So the thing is this, right? I don't have a problem with that, the dark gray color. I have problem with their size, which is the crushed stone.
Mhm.
To me, is a construction site, working
Oh,
on
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And then
you
I've
cannot-
been looking for all the pebbles, and then I couldn't find a reasonable supplier for.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the a 1/4-inch pea stone gravel, is a very customary. I can even ask one of our guys where
Okay.
he sources it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this one is peat gravel and looks nice and all that.
Yeah.
But if you say, yeah, maybe get a 1/4 of those, because and then if they are smaller size crushed stone, I don't mind either.
No.
But they were like a 3/4 to an inch.
No, no.
Yeah, you
it's
don't
like
want
way
that.
too
No,
big,
don't do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Those are uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Like
Exactly.
this, you could actually walk barefoot on if you have tough enough feet. And the sound is so beautiful.
Exactly, yeah. So you're saying that they use this, add a 1/4 of those smaller, a 1/4.
And in
The
all
charcoal.
honesty, Victoria, you won't have to add anything, because if you just tell them what you want, it's a very conventional mix of,
Mhm.
and it is on balance it's much more that than it is the other.
Okay.
It
Because
looks
this one is a very,
beige.
very good supplier that, hold on, where is that? Let me see.
The castle?
No, this one is, the supplier is in New Jersey, local, you see, and then it's basically from a quarry. So I like that, they have consistency, they give you, and then if next year or a couple of years later, we need some more, you have that. And then.
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
if, speaking for myself, if you came to me with that, I would approve that. It's so much better than, the other one was closer to this paper than.
Yeah.
But your idea is fabulous.
Yeah.
To go,
So-
to
For more
go further, and
complexity in the
Christopher also
color.
wants to
Oh,
go a
in
step
piece.
further.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're okay with that,
Yeah.
I think, and that's if you look around at
Mm.
the, I mean, there is a variety. Like if you look at Jack Kilgore's, his is closer to that in all honesty, but most of the Peastone gravels, like we have them, are
Okay.
more mixed.
Yeah, but I think I like your idea if it's come to what you, I have been talking to people, but like in the area, I mean, a lot of them, they shipped it in from outside by bag. I mean, you know, how inefficient is that when you're shifting the yeah, with the bags, right? I like something local, and then you just quarry, and then they farm it here,
Yeah.
they deliver it here, and then the quality is good, known, and all that, you know. So, but if the color still not quite dark enough, like you said, I can get some of those smaller
I
pebbles.
mean, I'm not even
Yeah.
sure that you couldn't ask Hickory Hollow. I have a feeling that they have Peastone gravel.
They
Or
do.
they can source it, you know, right down 17.
Mhm.
I know,
Yeah,
but
that's
but they didn't make it themselves. You know, this is a real quarry. You know,
Oh, no, but they're
Yeah.
sourcing presumably locally. You could ask them where they're
I don't know
sourcing
where
it.
they get it from.
Did you go
Sometimes,
to
you know,
Cas-
yeah.
Did you try Castle?
Which one?
Where's the?
Castle, Kassel. They're just the other direction
Oh.
there.
Okay.
I just passed those outlets, you know, the fashion outlets just a little bit further that
Oh,
way.
okay.
Is a quarry or is
It's a-
a supplier vendor?
It's a commercial supplier of, they've got
Oh, great.
such a big variety
Okay.
of gravel. I bought some there for round,
Oh,
Okay.
for a small area that.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So I will continue to, because this is one thing, of course, we need to finalize.
Yeah.
Ideally, then we can put it on the application and come in, then you can just vote instead of we
Lovely.
talk about it and
Oh, yeah.
go home
Yeah.
and come back again. You
that's
know?
great. And if I can just make
Yeah.
one more plea,
Yeah.
and you will see what you think, but I really feel that the stonework and the gates and everything are hard on the road, that
Mm.
they are works of art,
Mhm.
and they need not to be choked with any other decision making or choices like
Mhm.
statuary. I think they really need, they're absolute works of art, and they're the ambassador of that building. They represent the building, and it's the first thing anyone sees of this very public house.
Mhm.
So I may be not saying what will make you like me, but I
Mhm.
think that less is more.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to voice that again with regard to the lion sculptures or the lights or the cherubs or anything, just to let those massive plinths and the serpentine stonework speak for itself. It's just so beautiful, and it hurts my eyes to
Mhm.
see it larded on with other choices. But I wouldn't be doing my job on this board if I didn't say that.
Right.
So while you're preparing, if you just take that
Mm.
into account and do with it what you will.
Okay, thank you. I always appreciate your,
My
straightforward
candor.
communication. Yes, yes, that's good. Yeah, yeah. So I guess then, so idea, of course, if they have the supply that in large quantity and reasonable, then we have this quality of stone. Maybe we'll
Mhm.
do with that darker ones. Like I'll check it on case, but I definitely do not want to crush stone with that size.
No,
And they don't have any smaller size. That's the problem. The supplier, they actually have the blue stone, crushed stone.
But they only have monochromatic. They have this or they have the bluestone. right?
Yeah,
And it's
they didn't mix it.
right.
Then they have
right.
little white thing. Of course, I bought the white. If they have the crushed stone in the size that what I'm having right now, like a 1/8.
To add it, you mean, you're right.
No, I'm talking about originally. If they have the 1/8 in the same size, I don't mind to add that.
That's what I
but
mean,
Now
right,
they
yeah.
don't. So we either have this or we have that. But that, of course, is
But
like
Victoria,
you said, it's
could
not
go
so.
to Castle.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
could check
to
with
buy
them.
some and add to this
Yeah.
together and
Yeah.
then mix it together like a 25, 75, maybe that will make it, it's nice. The stone size, everything looks very
Yeah.
beautiful. It's just, of course,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not dark.
And it's a
Yeah.
huge improvement, even what you
Yeah.
just brought today.
Right.
And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, we're all really grateful.
Right. Okay. So what I do is that I will continue find that. Once they have the drawing ready, I will send you guys picture of, the stone color, whatever. Once we agree that probably is the color you like to see, then we'll put on application on the drawing and submit it over. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
That'd be easy for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
for
thank you so much
your
for doing
goodwill
that.
Yeah.
and your patience and coming back.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, good. Got the first approval.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys. All right.
Have a
Yeah.
good
All
night.
right.
Take
Yeah.
care.
When's the party at your home?
Why do you know everything? It's
Well,
I
All
hope
right, I
you're
thought-
coming. Are you coming?
yeah. Okay.
Please.
Yeah, we do. All right.
On the
Thank you.
6th. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, Garrity then, Christina, great.
You were also
Come
all
on in.
invited, but I didn't know it had been sent to anyone yet.
Do you want to come on up?
Sure. Well, I have a newborn at home, so
Oh, obviously, right. Yeah.
Oh, great, of course,
We'll put our glasses on so we can see you.
yes.
oh yeah. Can't see.
I see you. Oh, geez. On the computer, I saw that.
Last year, we did an interior remodel and now we'd like to add a few windows.
Mhm.
So, when I did the color photos.
Oh, over here.
Those guys show it pretty well, so. From that, if you flip to the second page, I showed essentially what you see from the street.
Mhm.
So you can, get a feel for that. So this is the existing, you can really see two facades of the house. This is the east side,
Mhm.
at the end of the driveway. And if you flip to the next page, like the window.
Oh, in the garage. What are you talking about?
So, let's start with the window. So we'd like to add a window that is the same proportion as the 30-inch wide by 4 feet tall windows that you see throughout the rest of the facade, like the upper level.
Mhm.
Like the upper level in the stone section
Yes,
there. Okay.
Yes, so it would be essentially that same, actually, I realize we can't see those that well in this image, but you'll see it in the other.
Yeah.
So that it would, proportionally match everything else. And then also in this view, there's a large window that we would like to make a French door with two side lights.
Oh, I see.
And it
Okay.
would be the same head height. The side lights would be the same as what is there now. So,
Mhm.
and it would just be, we would have access from the living room.
Do you have an elevation of that?
Yes, yes. So it's
Should we stay on the colors for this one?
Oh.
yeah, I added the elevations in there. Yeah, so this shows, this is the entire front facade. And the elevation above is the existing, and then below is the proposed.
And the clouds are just meant to draw our attention.
Yes.
Okay. And it would be, these are windows to match the others, which are all remaining as they are.
Correct.
And this would be what, Marvin or?
Marvin, yep.
Yeah, custom, Marvin Custom. Double glazed.
Yeah, yeah, my contractor told me that Marvin is what you guys prefer, so.
I like it.
Me too.
I think it's a good idea. So I would definitely go with that. It's very smart.
Mhm.
I have a question about the north window that's
Oh, yeah,
coming.
let's
It's
go.
next.
On the side?
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a
There's an
question
additional
there.
north window. I was hoping to maybe say something about that.
Oh, I know what you mean. I
I
have the
know,
same feeling.
yeah,
You mean the two very lateral ones?
Yeah.
I had an idea.
and then any questions, I guess, on the garage window while we have it,
Not for
yeah,
me.
I think it's.
Sensible.
Mhm. So then north elevation,
Mhm.
the existing view, and then the addition. And if we flip to this page, we kind of see it's the same proportion as the window in the center.
Correct.
I think that this felt a little cluttered to me in that space. Almost feel like maybe the proportions of the upper windows would be better suited there, especially given the drainage system that's there right now. It looks like that might butt up against that, but what did you think?
Well, two things. I think we're all thinking the same way. I mean, I don't think any of the three of us felt this was successful. One thing that is the bane of my existence is when people use shutters baselessly. And so you have this huge thing and then you have these two little shutters. I mean, it's not necessary. I don't know why you wouldn't just, if you need more fenestration and light, just combine them, like basically extend this another 3 feet or something, make or tighten it up or split the difference and just have one big window. I wouldn't have shutters if the shutters don't have play a role. What I would do is strengthen the framing of it, or decisively, so that it has massing and so it doesn't look like a gigantic window that's just hovering with no. I feel like often these, especially in this period, this extension is probably what, 1950, 1965.
I think it was the 50s.
Right.
yeah.
So people leaned on shutters as a crutch when they wanted like architectural quote unquote integrity, but it's nonsense. And so sorry to be, you're
No, I
catching me
love
on a
it. I mean, I
candid
don't
day.
disagree.
Oh, well, you're an architect.
Would you be amenable to, so the existing window there, really, I was trying to just leave what was there, but if you're okay with it, I mean, I would love to remove the shutters from that window as well.
Yeah,
And I think it mimics what's going on here in the front, right?
there are no shutters there, right?
There's no shutters here. There's second floor shutters in kind of the upper side sections. I think that would look cleaner because it feels very busy to me with the shutters and the addition of that window. But Stephanie, what do you think?
So you're upset about the shutters. My thing is sort of symmetry and balance. So I thought I had the same idea that you had. It was very psychic. If I was hoping we could take the middle existing window and just extend that, but keep the nice symmetry of that north facade. Rather than adding a window to the left, just taking the middle one and extending it.
Another what, how many feet? Like
I don't know, I don't want to get too close to that
Okay.
door, but
Right.
so you probably end up with somewhat less. Actually, no, if you lose the shutters, you might have the same amount.
So you might
glazing.
extend it on either side. I see what you're saying. So you take the
Yeah.
shutters off, push it so that where you see shutter, now you'd have another muntin and light and column of lights on either side. I mean,
Yeah, the interior layout of the kitchen, that would
Not work.
alter that quite a bit.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
well, let me ask you this, could you take the shutters off and just push another 2 columns to the left? Would you get enough light? Or do you desperately need the light all the way hard up onto the corner of the house?
Corner is preferable. We have a banquette, and beautiful lighting, wall sconces. But so I'm thinking this through.
Oh, one more thought, can I say?
Yeah.
What if you took these off and then took this and brought it in 1 column of lights on the left and 1 on the right, so it was not exactly the same. So it was a different size altogether. It was not exactly what's above and it was not below. And I wonder if that would end up, in terms of the massing of the windows, creating a more symmetrical effect. Then right now, this feels, I think what Stephanie's eye and all of us are sort of feeling is it feels almost like a child's toy where the thing runs to the left. I don't know what you call that, like shoots and ladders. It just all feels like it's.
Yeah.
So you mean almost having 2 of these instead of
Small one
3
above,
in a
right?
row?
I
Yeah,
like that.
And
like-
taking away
It's
the
just
shutters
that
there.
one copied below and that.
Yeah,
without-
like
that might work.
like that,
Yeah.
and situate it
That's a
where
super
you
good
need-
solution.
where you need it, which
It's
is,
a really good solution.
so that might help.
So almost the width of what's above.
Yeah, I mean, you could go that narrow, go to one of these windows. Actually have it be one of those
And then
and
below.
just situate it where it will benefit you
Okay.
for your table.
And would you be okay with that if it wasn't perfectly aligned with the window above?
I don't think it could be aligned with it. I think it would need to be a different alignment.
Because that will have
But
shutters in this one.
but the effect would be symmetrical.
Because still suggesting removing shutters here.
I think it would almost be a symmetry with the
Or
door,
maybe-
with the door,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that would be okay. You
Well,
know
maybe
what
it
I'm
would be
saying?
symmetrical. If you took these two things off, maybe it would be symmetrical. Would it?
I
I
think it
can't
would be
tell,
close.
But if you,
Except-
if you mirror the appearance of the door. with-
Then you would
with the
put
slit,
shutters on this one, right? So you'd leave this unshuttered. You'd put shutters on that one, maybe?
And that one needs to change size.
Well, it needs to be smaller than what you're proposing in order to fit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it'll look better. I think having these two, like, these big sprawling twins shoved there, it just doesn't feel felicitous.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do what we're talking about, take one of these, and I'd love to see what that looked like.
Yeah.
And maybe, and again, since it's that size, maybe to allow it to have that detail of the shutters, which would be theoretically meaningful because the shutters would actually add up to the window.
Yeah.
And one last thing, for this window, in lieu of shutters, give it a little bit heavier framing. Do you know, like lintel and sill, like a more decisive, so it's not just floating there.
I guess now that's kind of adding more to the scope than what we're.
Well,
actually
gosh, that's
anticipating,
of course, this is pie in the sky.
Yeah.
If that's
No, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah.
but at the very least, even if you left that alone,
Yeah.
don't do all that stuff and just see what that looked like.
Yeah, just changing the sizing of this.
Changing the size of the new window.
Mhm.
Would you be amenable to if it were centered on like the current location where I have it, but it was just the size of the window above?
I'd love to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm such a fan of Mount Vernon, which of course was designed by the client, presumably without an architect more often than not. And that beautiful, the symmetry of asymmetry is an effect I love. I'm not comparing this to Mount Vernon, this particular side. If the other side, maybe the front of the house, maybe I would. But anyway, I guess just to the point that I don't inherently dislike asymmetry.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the next step would be redesign this one window and then come back June 5th.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything else made perfect sense.
Yeah,
everything
The
else.
French doors, the window in the garage.
Okay.
It's such a beautiful house. And I love the
Yeah.
it's
Fabulous.
1914, right? That
Yes,
that
that's
you
it.
see the
I
carved
love-
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That detail
I love it.
always
Yeah.
makes
And
me
then you
smile.
have this facade and you're like, what happened?
Right,
The first few months we lived here, every time I would come from that direction, I'm like, whose house is that?
right.
Oh my gosh, that's our house. I don't know.
No. It's so good that architects, is he an architect as well?
No.
But at least there's one in the house.
Yeah.
Bought that house because it's a really
Yeah.
amazing building.
Yeah.
Needed
It is.
some love and
I
attention.
love it. And I love Lookout Road. It's one of my
Oh,
favorite walking paths. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love the name.
Mhm. I do.
Okay, so I'll think about that. And I wasn't sure like how how you guys kind of see like removing shutters and things like
Right.
that, like if you're okay with
I think in this case, definitely.
in this case, you would be okay with that.
Mhm.
Okay. Great. Well, I will do that and then see you back here next month.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you
Hopefully
for
a little
coming
less
by.
sleepy time. but No promises.
Little by little, right? So we have the racetrack.
Chew in.
Hi, Julian.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. And good to meet you, Molly. I hope I'll see you in person soon. I'm coming back to Tuxedo at the end of May.
Oh, great.
Look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes. Like,
Anyway, I'm here on behalf of the Field Advisory Board to talk about three safety enhancement projects at the racetrack. I think you're all familiar with the racetrack, right?
Of course.
Big piece of land sandwiched between East Lake Stable Road and Tuxedo Road. It's 20 acres of village land. So what I'm hoping to get from you all tonight is your good advice on our proposed, sort of modification, and also your support so that we can go back to the Board of Trustees, hopefully this Wednesday or maybe at the next meeting for the formal approval of this project. Because I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Board of Trustees has the final approval of any construction work that goes on at the racetrack or this piece of village land. Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So anyway, I sent you guys a PDF description of what we're trying to do. I'll just, would you like me to sort of go through it with you quickly, page by page?
Please.
Just okay. Sort of details that you may not be too concerned about. In accordance with village procurement policy, we actually reached out to 3 contractors. And fortunately or unfortunately, only S&B Total Home came back with a bid. The other 2 are not interested because they just don't have the capacity. And we're very happy with the total quote of $9,000 because I know that Beau Fairclough is actually giving us a break on the material he's charging at cost. And labor is really at the minimum because he professes to love the racetrack. So that's wonderful.
Good for Bill.
that's wonderful.
Exactly. He was telling me how he goes down to the racetrack and listens to the birds. The birds are so that's very nice.
Hope springs eternal. Okay.
Exactly. So we don't know when we're actually going to do the work because Bill will need to fit it in with his other work for more, I would say, important clients. Turning over the page, there's 3 projects. The first one, and one that I think all of you, when you go down to the racetrack from Tuxedo Road, you will have noticed. On the side, as you enter the flat basin, there are a whole bunch of logs on a piece of flat land. Underneath the rock, as you can see from the second photo on page 2, is actually a 15-feet drop.
I've never seen that. That's so cool.
That's very
We actually managed to take this photograph by putting a camera through one of the holes.
Oh
my God.
The existing logs, because what has happened is that I don't know, John, you may know this. I don't know when the logs were actually put over the drain for safety purpose, but over the decades, I think they have eroded. So they've become pretty dangerous because if I can put a hand and a camera through, other things can go through. And that's why it's so important for us to actually come up with a much more secure and permanent solution. Why does this drain exist? Basically, the water from Tower Hill flows into the flat basin, and underneath the flat basin and all that meadow, grasses and flowers that you see in the summer and the fall, there is an elaborate drainage system built by Pierre Lorillard when the racetrack was built for horses. And the water then drains through the entire basin into this elephant drain and then out onto Augusta Brook and then finally into the Ramapo River. So we can see from the camera, sticking the camera in, that the first drop is about 15 feet. You will see there's another hole in the middle, and we have no idea how deep that hole is. But looking at the elevation of Augusta Brook in relation to the racetrack, we estimate that it could be another 10 feet or so. Because the water comes out from the other end of Tower Hill, not Tower Hill, that's Clubhouse Road, into the Augusta Brook. And I'm glad to tell you, I don't know whether you know this, there has always been a myth in Tuxedo that there is a Model T car inside this elephant drain. Well, there is. So another busted Tuxedo Park myth. I don't think it can actually go into the second hole, so there's no car in there. So the whole idea, if you turn to page 3, is that we're going to actually manufacture on site concrete slabs 4-inch thick to cover the hole where the locks currently are placed. And the because it's a pretty big area, the slabs will be divided into 4, and each one of them will have a steel, will have 2 steel handles, so that the DPW can raise them if they need to access the drain for maintenance purpose. So it is very simple. What will happen is that, you know, obviously, instead of the more natural looking rock, which you sort of see and try to ignore, you will get concrete slab covering an area that is 10 by 16. We can't put any earth on it and grow plants because DPW needs access. So what we were going to do is that we will augment the planting around so that, you know, if you're short, you won't be able to see the onto the concrete slab, but we will. And Rob, I think you will love the idea, not blow any leaves and let nature.
Thank you. And you can always tint the concrete, can you not, a little bit? You can tint it?
We will talk to Bill Fairclough about it. So instead of having white concrete,
Yeah,
you know, we can use some sort of coloring.
right,
But I think I don't want to sort of say we can do it until
right.
we actually try to mix a sample on site and so on and so forth. But that's the idea, is to make it as natural, as grayish brown as possible, so that
Perfect.
yeah, so that's the idea. But we will not be able to disguise it 100%. But you cannot see it from Tuxedo Road. You have to be really into the racetrack, past the bike rack that the DPW put there, before you can actually see it. But
Is there a lot of sun around this, or is it in the shade? Is it sunny
it's
or?
actually sun during the day and then shade, because there's a huge white oak
Oh, okay,
right above it.
right.
And it is shady. It's sunny in the morning right through to the afternoon.
Mhm. Oh, okay.
No, mid morning to in the afternoon is not sunny in the morning.
I was just thinking things like New York ironweed or real Joe Pye weed, things that are
Yeah,
you're
real
trying.
Joe Pye wheat, there's really tall ironweed and all that, which we already have in the racetrack. And just FYI, we are actually asking Larry Wiener Company, who actually helps us augment the planting in the racetrack, to come up with a planting scheme, an augmented planting scheme for the entire sort of Tuxedo Road entrance area. Because as you know, we actually put in some additional grass ferns and native plants at the entrance. And I don't know whether it's flowered or not. There's some yellow flowers coming out. I can't remember the name for a senior moment, but we want to add to it, because as you go into the racetrack, where the elephant drain is on the right side and on the left side, there has it's pretty bare. When we've been pulling out all the barberry and the porcelainberry and stuff like that, but we are now in a state of, the invasives are controlled enough for us now to actually talk about planting. So we will incorporate, planting ideas for the elephant drain area in this phase of, beautification, so to speak. And certainly Joe Pye wheat and ironweed and stuff like that would be wonderful.
Seems like a really sensible
It does,
solution.
yeah.
I'm happy about it, as long as baby turtles don't fall down, then
Yeah.
I can live with concrete.
Right, yeah.
There are rabbits at the racetrack, and
Yeah, we have to save them.
and I actually saw a baby fox last year. So all those little animals.
Yeah.
course, we have turkey as well, because we have discovered turkey eggs in the racetrack.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, yeah, well, unfortunately,
Okay, oh
they all, we had a photograph of a nest of 5 eggs. They all got eaten
Oh, no.
by the coyote, we think. So nature's way, nature has its way in the racetrack. And
Maybe the bobcat will take the coyotes out.
Yeah.
maybe you never know what happens in that. And
There's a bobcat or a couple, they have a pretty big range, but that has been sold. Christopher Bushier's spotted one on his lawn and I see footprints near our chickens.
Oh my gosh.
And it's been sighted over near the laboratory as well.
yeah,
Really gifted predator. It has haunches of venison wedged up into the trees.
oh,
There are turkeys on Pine Hill though, that we see in our yard quite a bit.
I love that.
But I haven't seen them in the past few weeks, so, yeah.
I have a brood of turkey at our house.
Yeah,
Comes through mother and
mother, and are there 3 or 4 that follow her? Okay, maybe it's the same.
I think it's the same because I think they have a very.
Because you're not that far.
We're not so far,
No,
yeah,
I bet it is.
Yeah, we're on sort of the same.
Yeah.
right,
Same
exactly.
turkey lookout sort of circuit.
We should call our end of Peter Park Turkey or something like that. Anyway, so I got your thoughts about the color and also the planting, so thank you very much. Then the second area, if you turn to page 4 and 5, if you go down to the racetrack from the northern entrance, which is accessed from the other end of Fox Hill Trail, and you go across East Lake Road, you go into the racetrack that way. It's a pretty long kind of path, natural path. But at the end of it, you will see very clearly on page 5, the DPW has actually put in these natural stone steps. They quarried the stones somewhere on village property, and around about 2017 or so, one week, they put these things in. So these are not historic steps. They are DPW circa 2017 steps, and they are beautiful, but quite treacherous because they are uneven. So we are proposing to put railings. So on page 5, if you look up from the flat area of the basin, looking up towards the steps, the railing will be on the left side. It will be, we're asking for 36 inches, which is between the 34 and 38 mandated by New York code. And the look of it will be like Howard Shaw's boathouse, which is the photograph you see at the bottom of page 5. Very simple cedar wood, but the footing will be concrete, so it will not wobble, and somebody can really lean his weight on it.
And Chu Yin, when you say cedar wood, you mean cedar trunks, thin
Yes, cedar
yeah.
trunk,
Yeah,
cedar trunk,
lovely.
cedar
I
rod.
think that looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's such a nice
Yeah,
effect.
we love
it's
it.
great.
Very Adirondacks.
Mhm.
Well, a natural, and I think in keeping with precedents within the park, we thought of, because, we don't have exhaustive funds, we thought for a minute of an iron railing or something, but that is just so nature preserved that we thought, let's go with the cedar. Maybe it has to be replaced every 10, 15 years or whatever it is, so be it.
Yeah,
That
it's
we're going
wonderful.
with a more natural look.
Mhm.
Totally.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Then the last and the most visible safety enhancement project, well, this is more aesthetic than safety, is the Tuxedo Road entrance, which at the DPW goes into the racetrack with their equipment for maintenance and for plowing the entire basin once a year in March, which is the way that the meadow is actually maintained, which is very efficient because it doesn't need mowing any time of the year. The only other mowing the DPW does is the walking path. because, you know, we don't want the grass to be so high that people get ticks the minute they get onto the path. So they need access, and also they need access with their machinery for maintenance of the drainage system. So the gate we envisage will be wide enough for DPW vehicle access, 12 feet wide, and then maybe a bit more. We're proposing to use cedar, cedar wood, natural cedar wood, rustic style gates. And if you're familiar with Brook Farm, they have similar gates, but they painted it robin blue in keeping with the rest of Brook Farm. But this will be left natural, obviously, and it will, as I say, and that it will echo the guardrail that Mayor Houston put in during his time, and hopefully in a year or so, the cedar wood will just disappear, and you know, visually, and we really don't really see it. The reason why we need a set of gates there is because the DPW and the village don't want vehicles to drive in. And it will just, you know, ruin the drainage system, ruin the meadow, and so on and so forth. And at the moment, what's stopping the vehicle is a rusty iron pole mounted right across. So you can see it in that photograph, more or less.
It's quite a few. It's about 35 feet in down the driveway, or
Yeah, it's actually, you can not even see it from Tuxedo Road because it's a depression. This photograph is kind of deceptive because I actually took it halfway down that slope already. So the paved area stops. You see that line right at the bottom of that photograph? Going back up, that's paved. Beyond that, it's basically just natural earth.
But in other words, so let's say if you, I mean, I walk there on my 2 feet, but if you were to come from farther in the park, you can park your car well short of the gate,
Yes.
off the road, but
Yeah.
into the, right, okay.
Yeah.
There's
And
plenty
you
of room
can-
for a couple cars.
People also park on, you know, on Clubhouse Road as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But most people just go a little bit into the racetrack and so on if they use the Tuxedo Road entrance. But over the course of this year and next, we're going to sort of try to encourage people the entrance, because there's such a wide parking area right in front of Fox Hill Trail, and it's much safer. Nobody can hit you, and you don't have to be worried when you know back out and so on and so forth. So there's a bit of and when we do, you all received our invitation for the steeplechase Stewart ceremony, and also the peony picking party. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to start the ceremony asking people to go to the north entrance and park there, and to get and last time we had a garden club, you know, sort of I guess it's a seminar, whatever it is, when Christopher talked about invasive plants. We held the garden club meeting on plein air at the northern entrance as well.
Yeah, and we parked on that clubhouse side, which was very easy to do and accessible. Mhm.
Much safer because you're off the road, you can park multiple cars there and so on. But so this is, as I said, this is safety in terms of not allowing vehicle other than DPW to go really into the racetrack, but quite a bit of it is aesthetics, because we think, you know, rusty iron pole represent Tuxedo Park very well, and we're right on the main drag of Tuxedo Road as people come in. So we want something that is a little bit more elegant, but in keeping with nature, disappears visually over time and sturdy enough. And one thing that is not represented in the drawing, in the pencil drawing, is that there will be two iron steel posts on the side, so that, you know, the gate doesn't fall over and so on and so forth.
Right.
So there will be, you know, sort of metal reinforcement of the hinges and of the gate itself, but.
And probably a little tooth in the center that you can stick down so that, right.
Exactly. And in fact, it will be locked
I see.
4 times, and only the DPW and the Tree Advisory Board we know where the key is.
So the verticals will be new for this structure, but it will be the same distance setback from
Right,
the road. Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
great.
So that's the,
It's wonderful. Yeah.
that's basically the outlines for the project.
Will all the existing metal be removed, the existing
Yes,
vertical pieces?
DPW permitting, and also the logs, because as I said to the mayor, the last BOT meeting, John, the only thing we need the DPW to do is to remove the logs, because they it will require basically big, maybe backhoe or something, heavy machinery to lift them up and to dispose of them off-site. And then likewise with the long iron pole and the 2 vertical posts. But otherwise, Fairclough's company will be responsible for the installation of the new material.
And DPW will be removing.
And
Okay, yeah.
DPW is removing.
And DPW will be removing.
DPW is removing all the locks and the existing iron poles.
Could I say something about the logs, please?
Yeah.
Is there a chance we could chop them up, drill small holes in them and use them as bee habitats?
Oh, so interesting.
That stops us from having to lug them all away.
Yeah.
They need to be about this long, and they need to have, different size holes in them and be piled up. Christopher can arrange them beautifully in a sunny location.
Can I ask a question? So these, the things that you're talking about piercing are made of metal or wood?
No, you just take the logs that are lying
Oh,
there.
logs.
You take the logs. You
I
don't-
thought you said locks and I thought
No, no.
I don't think they could live in metal.
No.
No, I did logs, of course.
Yeah.
What a beautiful idea.
Chop them up.
That's
You
amazing.
can arrange them in a sunny location
Yeah.
with holes in them, and you can have.
So
all
many of the
native
pollinators
bees.
love and need that.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have adequate woodpeckers on duty creating holes. but I still
That's
think it's nice.
absolutely a fabulous idea. I'll look into a sunny location with Christopher. But I think just one immediate thought is that we will not put them along the trails, because if we have bees, we don't want a little child or a little dog to be bitten and so on. So we'll find somewhere recessed in off the trail a little bit, but a sunny spot. A brilliant idea. Love it.
It's a great.
Most native bees are non-stinging, but yes, they're much happier slightly tucked away.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Fabulous idea. I will relate to the tree board members. Fabulous. I think Pam Bremen would love it too, because Pam is a major proponent of the pollinator pathway. And she's working with Dutchess County, the town, as well as
Sorry, who is this? Is a big proponent?
Pamela Bremen.
Oh yeah, I have not met her. Nobody's introduced her to me, and I'm eager to meet her.
They bought the Van Skak's house.
Right.
on,
Yes.
near the road going up to the school.
Yeah.
And she's a big fan of pollinators.
Well, please cross-pollinate Pamela. if
Your
I have
path
to-
and hers.
And my,
yeah.
yes. Humans need pollinating too.
Great. So,
Thank you. Stephanie, that's a brilliant idea. Well, love it. Absolutely love it.
awesome. Ready to approve?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So the presentation dated May 1st, 2023. It goes from page 1 to 6. And that would be the cement drainage, the railing on the stone steps and a natural cedar wood, and then the new entry gate with the new kind of verticals supporting it off of Tuxedo Road.
And just to be clear, the railings will be of cedar trunks
Yeah, thank
as
you.
opposed to the fence, which will be cedar lumber.
Lumber, exactly, yeah. Trunks.
Yeah. Aye.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Unanimous approval.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so much,
Julianne.
Julianne.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Look
much.
forward to seeing
Looking
you when you're
forward.
back up
Yeah.
here.
Absolutely. And it's been absolutely riveting watching you guys do the
Oh,
session.
no.
Brings back memories when I was on the bar.
She was so happy to have your freedom, right?
Oh, gosh, you cannot imagine. Thank you, you all, for serving.
Say
It's
hello
wonderful.
to Gardner.
Thank you
I
so
will.
much.
Yeah, thank you very
care.
much. Thank you, John. Thanks, Desiree.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
So the last item on here is the Weewa Park and Beach for the storage shed and kiosk.
Yes, the mayor asked me to present these to the bar. We would like to have some type of kiosk area, some type of formal checker to check people coming and going from the park area. It's all cedar construction with a brown metal standing seam roof. It'll be located approximately just a few feet in on the right-hand side of the driveway, designed for people who might be there to monitor the place and keep track of things. If you have any comments or suggestions, it's approximately 5 by 8 overall dimension.
Okay.
And
And the notion is there's no reason to build in a chair because someone will just bring a chair with.
I think we might be altering one of the desk areas to give a little more room. And I think we're gonna put it on some type of slab. So yeah, it'll just be temporary for somebody to sit there with a small table to
Check people in.
check people in
have a little
and monitor the
desk there.
place.
Is this custom designed or has it been bought? Is it a,
That is prefab.
oh, it's prefab. Okay,
Yeah.
then I have no
So-
comments.
Stephanie?
It's okay.
I think
I know. I could tell.
The second item you may have seen at the far end of the Weewa Park and Beach, we have a storage shed approximately 6 by 8. It's seen better days.
Mhm.
We anticipate needing a little bit more storage, so we'd like to do something all in cedar, 6 by 12, to weather, in the same location that the existing shed is in. You may not have seen this shed. It's to the left of the flagpole.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Can we go back to this prefab? That is not stained anything. This will be allowed to weather. It's raw.
It's a natural cedar.
It's a
Yes.
natural, okay. Because we don't want it looking that color for as little time as it can remain that color would be great.
I understand, trust me.
And this is beautiful
Yeah,
or suitable.
and that will weather as well, right?
That
This
is natural cedar, it should weather.
Okay.
Yes, it's just slightly bigger than what's there for storage and obviously visually at least an improvement.
Sure.
So hearing no comments except that we want it to weather as fast as possible.
Mhm.
I will report that to the board.
Well, yeah, if you could just note down that we like the fact that it's untreated cedar that will weather.
Right.
That's,
Gotcha.
Okay, great.
so,
That's it.
so that's unanimous.
Unanimous
I will
approval.
report
Great.
that to the board.
Thank you very much. And then the review of last
Oh, yeah.
night's minutes. Any comments? I was not present actually last.
Actually, we may not be able to vote on it because you can't. Don't we need a quorum? Or can we have a quorum?
You're permitted to vote on it, believe it or not, even though you weren't here, but you can,
Okay,
you can.
she can
approve it.
vote.
Okay,
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's,
Well, then that's one of the mysteries of life.
yeah.
We do have one. other
Schrodinger's
item,
cat.
whenever you're finished. We do have one other item, and I don't know if we should do this every month, but we get bills from time to time from our consultants. At this stage, largely Steve's firm. And we just want the board to be aware of what the charges are. From time to time, Steve and I do speak about minor applications, that like paint color changes that might not be either contentious or require legal attention, that maybe we shouldn't get a bill for some of those minor applications. And also from time to time in the past, I would speak to the chairperson, because there may be meetings where Steve's presence might not be needed if we have 2 minor applications that are either not contentious
Right.
or things that have already been reviewed by the board that we think, might be teed up for approval.
Mhm.
So I had sent these out a week or 2 ago. I didn't hear any comments,
I
but I
think
just,
Christopher got back and he said
Yeah.
to
well,
you,
Yeah, I was okay with it.
okay, I just want the board to be aware of it and,
yeah, that
Didn't
made
see
sense to me
that.
as well.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's fine. Thank you.
And to your
Great.
question, Stephanie, I think they are billed to the client, are they not?
Yes, we do get escrow from most applicants
Almost exclusively.
and that's what this gets charged against.
Right.
That's all that I have. Next meeting's on the 5th. And
I should mention the following meeting after that, I will not be here. I will be traveling. I'll be here for the 5th
Traveling where?
to Paris and then to Munich and then to the Dolomites. To a place, a little guest house that, I don't know if you have been to the Dolomites or it's called Dreikirchen. I don't know if you know,
No, I don't
it's
know.
north of Bolzano. It's very pretty, very simple guest. Freud had stayed there, so they say.
So they say.
So that's how they say.
Should we close the meeting then? Okay. So do I have a second to end the meeting for today?
7:30 PM.
Second.
Yes, at 7:31 PM.
Hearty eye from me.
Okay.
Thank you.